Ron DeSantis is definitely after Disney right now. He does not like them very much, and perhaps because they forgot to cross their T's and dot their I's when it comes to some of these legal paperwork filings that they did with the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Are they in deep trouble? And this Beyond Big Thunder Mountain idea they came up with, it may not be totally about DEI inclusivity, but rather it could be because they want to rip off some of the Universal stuff that's been so popular because they need cash. Well, wouldn't you like to be Universal Studios right now? They are definitely in a better position than the Walt Disney World Company when it comes to, and I guess I should say the Walt Disney World Resort, not company, but when it comes to Florida and all of the politics and the consternations that are going on there, Universal Studios, they don't have to fool with that. Busch Gardens, nope, not being targeted. SeaWorld, everybody loves them. Well, except for a strong contingent of people who really don't like the animal issues there. But hey, that's a topic for another day. Disney, however, is squarely in the crosshairs of the Florida government, the state government, led by Governor Ron DeSantis. And we're going to talk about that today. But we're also going to talk about how Disney is sort of scrambling, trying to ensure that they can take on Universal Studios, who, by the way, remember, they have stayed out of this completely. And so they're sitting there completely clean, completely having a good time in the Sunshine State, all because they decided not to wade into the politics of bedroom issues and orientations and when it's appropriate to teach that to small children. Good Lord. Isn't it nice to stay away from that if you're a major company and realizing that, hey, this is spicier than we want to get involved in. We're actually in the market of roller coasters, not that. Well, folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about that notification bell. Our first article today comes from thatparkplace.com, where I am both a writer and editor, and it comes to us from Chad Peterson, a new writer over at the website. I want to thank everybody for helping the website continue to grow and grow. And as it grows, well, we're having to pick up new writers because you guys continue to want more content. Walt's vision of Frontierland may be drastically altered by Disney leadership. Now, let me say, this comes originally from Mickey Views, Braden, and we'll put a link to Braden in the description. Braden has been killing it. He's been doing a great job of uncovering some stuff about Disney and Disney World and what they want to do with the Beyond Big Thunder Mountain Railroad idea. Well, I've seen him get some flack about that. I've seen it coming from content creators that I like and admire. But I want to say that it seems to me that he is fairly on course with this. Now, he and I have discussed that perhaps the location of the villain's land that they're considering is not exactly right in what he's doing. But then he said, well, I'm just concepting this out, where it might go. And I said, okay, well, cool deal. Well, here's what I know. But so they're getting ready to do this thing that could be very expensive, build this new expansion Beyond Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which is hard to do, right? But it turns out that the reason they're doing it may be less to do with money and more to do with DEI initiatives, trying to make an outreach to Hispanic and Latino communities with South American and Mexican cultures beyond Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, take away the idea of Frontierland being all about the American Southwest, turn it instead into New Orleans, generic desert, and then Hispanic cultures. So let's read this really quickly. Frontierland is one of the most iconic and beloved lands in Walt Disney World, but its history goes back even farther than the theme park itself. The concept of Frontierland was first introduced by Walt Disney in the 1950s when he was creating his first Disneyland park in Anaheim, California. Later, it was a key component of Magic Kingdom's development, starting in the 1960s until its construction opening years later. Now, I like this article because it goes into talking about how this is connected directly to Walt himself. It also mentions Splash Mountain and how that this all started with Splash Mountain, and people thought, oh, well, that's the end of it. Well, it's not. They're not going to stop. They want to go after the Country Bear Jamboree. They want to go after Tom Sawyer Island. They're never going to stop. And so we are just seeing that happen again and again. But here's the exclusive scoop that I have been given regarding this change, because you might say to yourself, well, surely they're not so foolish as to do this, transform much of Frontierland into the New Orleans setting. Surely they're not so foolish to do that just because of the Story Matters group and DEI and trying to pull in a more diverse roster of guests into the parks each day, right? Too white. Well, the reality is that there's another issue taking place here, and that is that apparently Disney, well, they're watching Universal over there, and Universal is making a lot of money off of Mardi Gras celebrations. They own Mardi Gras celebrations, and Disney wants in on that, but they don't have a good setting for Mardi Gras at the Magic Kingdom. Oh, but they have something in Disneyland, and they think they could mimic that pretty well, transform Frontierland, and then make all that Mardi Gras money that Universal is currently owning. Well, let's take a look now at why Disney might be wanting to make more money, and it could be because they're in a situation here. Now, we don't normally cite articles from objectively political or partisan websites. That's not usually what we do, but it's really hard to find stuff that's not biased no matter what I do. Every website I go is biased in some way, and this one seems to me to be the best in regards to covering what's going on with the DeSantis situation. This from the Federalist by Tristan Justice. It says, exclusive, Disney's 11th hour move to evade DeSantis oversight is legally void per a source. And then Disney skipped a step required by Florida law in its 11th hour agreement, according to those familiar with the proceedings. Again, don't you think Universal Studios is loving this? Universal Studios, according to Andrew of Legal Mindset, looking for years to try to get that same sweetheart deal special district that Disney had, always told no. And then Disney managed to step their way into politics and force the Florida hand, I guess, to look at them finally after decades and say, hey, wait a minute, how about this Vatican City you own in the middle of Central Florida? Maybe you shouldn't still have that. For those of you who think, oh, well, it's wrong, Disney's being targeted, just remember, no, actually what was happening is that people were looking the other way for a very long time. Disney was supposed to build cities and have those cities run a special district. And, well, that never happened. They just had cul-de-sacs with mobile homes that Disney put all the people in those mobile homes that they wanted. Disney leadership thought the company outmaneuvered Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis this year after a last-minute agreement with local officials gave the theme park virtually unlimited developmental power. But sources tell the Federalist that Disney's corporate lawyers missed the fine print in Florida statute governing tourist districts. And by the way, this is what is so funny about it. We've talked with Andrew of Legal Mindset before, and he said, they're bringing in these people to do the legal side of this for Disney, right? They're bringing in third parties, and they're not familiar with the special district laws in Florida. He himself is someone who has specialized in that. And so it's been very interesting to watch his coverage of it. All right, so let's talk about the things that they apparently missed. In early April, DeSantis ordered an investigation into Disney's last-minute power grab. A source familiar with the investigation revealed to the Federalist that Disney skipped key steps when amending its developmental agreement, rendering the resolution null and void. According to Florida statute, local governments, in this case the Reedy Creek Board, are required to take 3 steps when making changes to special district agreements, such as the one that established Disney's quasi-governmental status. Somebody's been watching the channel. I've been saying it's quasi-government and quasi-city and pseudo-cities. All right, but anyway, there's 3 steps, so pay attention as we go through these steps. They must hold 2 public hearings. That's step 1. Advertise those hearings in a local newspaper. That's step 2. And offer notice by mail to all affected property owners before the first public hearing. Step 3. In a statement to the Associated Press, Disney said the agreements took place in public. All agreements signed between Disney and the district were appropriate and were discussed and approved in open, noticed public forums in compliance with Florida government in the Sunshine Law. All right, but here is the issue.
Make sure to catch The Pro Show Thursdays 5 to 7 Eastern Time. Entertainment Explained, The Culture Curve Conquered, live with Pro and all his friends.
Apparently, they did not send notice to property owners, and I can't imagine why, right? The last requirement of Florida law, it says, however, that all affected property owners be given notice by mail, was skipped entirely, according to sources familiar with Disney's proceedings. The missed mandate means the company would have to restart the process for its 11th hour resolution to be valid. However, they cannot, because the Reedy Creek Improvement District exists no more. It's now the Central Florida Oversight. And, well, they can't reconstitute that board to do, I guess, what you would call a 13th hour resolution, because they did not reach out to the property owners. Now, why did they not reach out to the property owners? Because if they had reached out to the property owners, that would be Disney and Disney alone. Disney is it. That's it. They don't have any other property owners. They are the exclusive property owners within those pseudo-cities, which is never how all of this was designed to be. Again, Universal Studios, yet again, laughing their way through this. And yet again, this goes back to why Disney is probably desperately looking for ways, cheap ways, to transform Frontierland into some sort of amalgamation of New Orleans Square so that they can try to drive more money from locals off of Mardi Gras, right? Kick up those off-season times because, well, they're going to need more revenues going forward. Now, I've been reached out to by someone who has deep knowledge of Disney parks, and they wanted to give their opinion on this. This is an individual who has worked with Disney in the past. Here's what they had to say about everything that's going on. Disney parks were always one of the main purveyors of Americana and the Old West. As a pontonade frontier where American values were forged and tested, yes, Disney parks were great contributors in passing on this country and value-building baggage to future generations. Now they no longer want to pass that on, it seems. Splash Mountain is gone. Country Bears, they're next. The Frontier theme is being replaced by a generic desert theme. It's all quite sad, actually. Notice that this individual is one of the sources who confirmed for me what Braden was saying. So much is being lost, they say. Americana Incorporated, in my opinion, is one area where Disney couldn't be touched by Universal. They have a much different matrix. But Disney Florida has their older crowd with deep pockets backstopping them, whales that Universal dreams of having, and I wonder how these changes will affect that segment. Will they leave? Here's sort of the way things used to work. The way it used to work was when people thought of Florida, they thought of Disney. And then they thought later on of Disney and perhaps Universal. Two-thirds of the time, though, Disney, and they'll take one day to go to Universal. Now there's a Universal focus where there are people, especially if the family has older teens or young adults, where they're exclusively going to Universal Studios and skipping the Disney parks altogether. Florida has other vacation attractions that are in play, like other parks and beach time. All right, so that's what they've got to say, and then also the confirmation as well that, guess what? This whole push for Frontierland, it's not only about DEI, it's about trying to find new sources of revenue by turning on the Mardi Gras celebrations that Universal Studios has been so successful with. Can they do it, though? They have not been successful in miming some of the other Universal projects. Disney really does not have a strong monsters or villains celebration like Halloween Horror Nights over at Universal Studios. Oh, wait. Perhaps that's why there's a villains area also being attached to this project. That's right, folks. Not only is this a DEI initiative, but it is literally Disney now attempting to copy Universal Studios in just about every way as they try to find new sources of income because they have screwed the pooch when it comes to this entire Florida situation. I'm not trying to be political. I'm not trying to take one side over the other in terms of value assessing the goodness of Republicans or Democrats or anything like this. Totally apolitical on this channel, but it's probably a bad idea for companies, especially companies that focus on family entertainment, to take on local governments over issues, and state governments, by the way, over issues that are particularly spicy and deal with children. Not a good idea at all. The same would be true if Disney were doing the opposite in California. They would face massive backlash, although they would never do that at all. Folks, be watching out for even more content on the way. We're going to be breaking some exclusive news about the Super Mario Brothers movie and how Hollywood in particular was involved in manipulating, let's say, the exit polling for that movie, skewing the demographics so that there could be a storyline around it that just does not seem to be actually materialized. I can't wait to cover that with you. And then, of course, we're also going to be covering The Mandalorian over the next few days as it wraps up season 3. Can it restore the quality in the final episode, or will it be going gung-ho towards the sequel trilogy? If it does so, it may lose a ton of fans. All right, if you have a comment, we care about it, so please drop it down below. We also would love if you could like that like button and click it if you like content like this. Share and subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about the notification bell. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
I just found out to get WDW Pro's information, where he gets his sources. I can't believe he uses Wilton!
What?
We got a job to do. It's easy to hack into WDW Pro's computer.
You're kidding me. That's awesome. You know any other stuff?
Yeah, just Jonas Campbell told me.
Sweet.
Said Pro underpaid him or something.
A few minutes later.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Whatever. All I gotta do is
Whoa.
hack into this thing. It's gonna be so easy.
Yeah, this isn't
All
a
right,
hack.
grab this picture over here.
Leave it to me.
Oh, no. Oh, Wilson.
Job done. What?
No, all we had to do was use the picture because he uses face unlock. Now we gotta go to thatparkplace.com and sub to him and his team on YouTube.
Oh, well, I already did that because I'm smart.